Hello everyone, this is Aamya Sachdeva. Welcome you to English Factory. Hope you all are doing well and keeping safe. Today we are going to do class 12 Flamingos Prose 3 Deep Water by William O. Douglas. So before starting this lesson, I would like to ask you one question. Do you have any kind of fear or phobia in your mind? Alright, let's see what are phobias. Phobias are irrational fear of an object, animal, situation or activity and are frequently associated with substance abuse. A person with a phobia either tries to avoid the thing that triggers the fear or endures it with great anxiety or distress. Phobias are usually connected to a specific resource. Depending on the source or situation that may trigger or nervous feeling or reaction. There are different types of phobias which an individual undergoes. Some people are afraid of heights, which is called acrophobia. There are some who have fear of fire, known as pyrophobia. Then there are some afraid of dogs, called cynophobia. Next phobia is anthropophobia, which is very commonly seen in almost everyone to some extent. This is the fear of society. You don't enjoy your life or do the things you really want to, all because of society fear in your mind. Next is aquaphobia, which is fear of water. Some people face an extreme, irrational and persistent threat of water known as aquaphobia. Traveling through waterways, going near swimming pools, water bodies or even entering a bathtub might seem life-threatening to some people. So keeping this fear of water in mind, today's lesson, Deep Water, is about the writer's journey of overcoming the fear of water, which is deeply rooted in him since his childhood. Before we understand the entire lesson, let's first read about the author. William Douglas was a leading advocate of individual rights. He was a judge at the Supreme Court of USA, retired in 1975 with a term lasting 36 years and remains the longest serving justice in the history of the court. The story Deep Water acquaints readers that it is not death, but the fear of death that scares one and all. We must fight fear or it will consume us. Also, past memories can leave an indelible impact on human minds. Deep Water deals with Douglas' childhood fears. Let's begin with the explanation of the lesson. The story has been taken from the author's autobiography of Men and Mountains. In this piece, he tells about his fear of water and how he conquered it by determination and willpower. William says that he had always disliked water and recounts an older experience when he was 3 or 4 years old. He would go to the beach in California with his father. He would get scared by the might of the huge waves which swept over him, and it instilled fear in his subconscious mind. His father laughed and tried to make him feel comfortable, but the little child was scared when he realized that the waves were so powerful. William's introduction to the YMCA swimming pool revived unpleasant memories and stirred childish fears. A few years later, in his eagerness to learn swimming, William joined the swimming pool at the YMCA, where an incident further increased his terror. He was pushed into the pool by another boy and experienced death closely. The boy, about 18 years of age, picked William and threw him into the deep end of the swimming pool. William landed on the surface of the pool in the same position as he had been sitting in. His mouth was open and as he did not know swimming, he swallowed water as he sank into the pool. He was very frightened, but he used his intelligence and on his way down the pool planned to push himself up. When he reached the bottom, he thought that he would make a big jump to the surface, lie on his back, swim to the edge of the pool, but all in vain. William waved his hands at the surface of the water for help, but he swallowed water and choked himself. After a great struggle of saving himself, the fear ended. He did not panic anymore. He became quiet and experienced peace. He was not afraid of drowning anymore. He felt sleepy and was tired to jump up. Felt nice to be carried in his mother's arms as he felt sleepy. At this moment, his legs became lifeless and his brain experienced a blackout. Many years after that incident, he stayed away from water, but the desire to go fishing and swimming in nature was strong enough to motivate him to overcome his fear. So, he learned swimming with the help of an instructor who ensured that William knew swimming well enough to be able to swim in huge lakes and waterfalls also. The instructor taught him to put his face under water and exhale, and to raise his nose and inhale. He repeated the exercise hundreds of times. Bit by bit, he shed part of the panic that seized him when his head went under water. Still, when he would swim, the fear from his childhood experiences embedded in his subconscious mind would grip him over and over again. He wanted to conquer that fear. So, he faced it sarcastically, thinking that now, as he knew how to swim, what harm could it do to him? He challenged his fear in the face of it, and finally it would vanish. It was a baseless fear instilled in his subconscious mind. This experience was valuable for him. He had experienced terror and death. He overcame it and finally conquered it. William still had some doubt about the fear, so he hurried towards the western direction. He went up the Titan, reached Conrad Meadows, walked up the Conrad Creek trail to Midday Glacier. He camped at the meadow by the warm lake. The next morning, he wore the swimming costume and dived into the lake. He swam across it to the other end and returned just like the famous American dog Corpon used to do. William shouted with joy as he had overcome his fear. William recollects the words of one of the presidents of America, Roosevelt. Roosevelt had said that all we have to fear is fear itself. He realized that death is peaceful and it is the fear of death that is terrorizing. His will to live life grew intensely as he had overcome his fear and started living fearlessly. It's time to read the most important questions which are repeatedly asked in exam. Question number 1. How does Douglas make clear to the reader the sense of panic that gripped him as he almost drowned? Describe the details that have made the description vivid. Answer. William describes his experience where he had a close brush with death at the YMCA swimming pool. As being a first-person account, he has described it deeply. The emotional, mental and physical struggle and the paralyzing fear of drowning have been discussed in detail. William retained his intelligence and had a plan to come to the surface. He tried it, but it did not work, and after a few trials to save his life, death dawned upon him. These details make the description vivid. Moving on to next question, question number 2. How did Douglas overcome his fear of water? William Douglas was not able to overcome out of his fear, so he hired a swimming instructor. Once he had learned swimming, he wanted to check if he had overcome the fear as well. He would swim in lakes and found the fear to return in small phases. William was no longer scared as he knew that he could swim. Hence, he overcame that fear. Next question, question number 3. Why does Douglas as an adult recount a childhood experience of terror and his conquering of it? What larger meaning does he draw from this experience? Answer. William Douglas gives a detailed description of his childhood experience so that the reader gets familiar with the kind of fear that he had as a child. When he quotes Roosevelt, all we have to fear is fear itself. He tries to draw a larger meaning from this experience. He wants to highlight the fact that life became meaningful and the desire to live grew intense once he had conquered his fear. Proceeding to the next question, question number 4. How did his experience at the YMCA swimming pool affect Douglas? Answer. Douglas' experience of drowning and almost being dead instilled a fear of water in him. He shook and cried, couldn't eat. For days a haunting fear engulfed him. The slightest exertion upset him. He never went back to the pool, feared water and avoided it whenever he could. Coming to the last question, question number 5. Describe the efforts made by Douglas to overcome his fear of water. This question is very important, children. Answer. Douglas was in the tight grip of a fear of swimming in water bodies and finally decided to get rid of it. He hired an instructor who taught him swimming piece by piece, and when he had learned it all, he combined all the pieces together and made Douglas a swimmer. Still, he was not confident. and the terror would seize him time and again. Douglas wanted to get rid of all the fear, he wanted to conquer it. So he went to various lakes, dived and swam across them. He reverted sarcastically to the tiny vestiges of fear that would grip him time and again until all of it vanished away. Douglas realized that fear was merely a crop of the mind, and once he had conquered it, he felt released, free to walk arduous terrains, climb peaks, and brush aside fear. Douglas had faced stark terror, and then by conquering it, his desire to live life grew intensely. Bravely overcoming one small fear gives you the courage to take on the next. Zig Ziglar rightly said, "Fear has two meanings: forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. The choice is yours." Hope this is an enriching video for you. Kindly like, share and subscribe to my channel English Factory and press the bell icon for notification. Waiting for your valuable comment. Thank you and stay blessed.